Hello, welcome to This Dementia Life, created by Dementia Action Alliance. Our website is daanow.org. I'm proud to be your host, Chuck McClatchey, and I live my dementia life with Alzheimer's disease. During this Dementia Life podcast, we will have conversations with inspiring people living with dementia and the amazing people who care about us. My guest today is my very good friend and amazing lady, Nancy Nelson, who is a poet. She is an author. She is an advocate and soon to be a playwright. Nancy, why don't you tell us about yourself and kind of where your drive comes from?
Okay. How did I get here, right? I took a wrong turn someplace. It was not scheduled for sure. I first got a diagnosis in 2013 with early onset Alzheimer's. My father had passed from Alzheimer's in 2002. And so I knew a little bit about Alzheimer's, but not a lot. And when I got the diagnosis, I sort of sat with it for a minute. And then I decided, oh, heck no. I'm going to look at this. I'm going to take a minute. And it took me a minute to see, just, get some bearings on what should I do? I knew nothing. And when they offered medication right away, I said, oh no, I can't do that because I don't know enough about what I have. So, and today I still, this is 8 years later, still haven't dipped into the medication part. But so then it was early onset Alzheimer's. And so all of a sudden at night, I would wake up in the early mornings, like 3 o'clock to 5 a.m. every single morning. And words were just coming to me. So I got a yellow pad paper and I started writing down the words and the phrases that came to me during those times. And they have ended up in books. So I have 3 books. They are I call them books of poetry, but they are books of inside feelings that I needed to journal. And so as I wrote them down and would look at them and wonder, why did those words come to me? It tells my story. So Blue River Apple, and Exploration of Alzheimer's through Poetry was number 1. And so that was after the first year. So after diagnosis, then the second book came the following 2 years. And then the third book came the year after that. And my poems have changed. And so, but we change, don't we? And I think we don't pay attention. We're going so fast. So then I got a change in diagnosis. And I was really kind of befuddled by that because the change said mild cognitive impairment. And I said, wow, I never accepted the first one. Never said I have it. I say I have been diagnosed with it. And I say that same thing for mild cognitive impairment. I don't want to own it. So that, and with all of this and the words that were coming to me, I began to know that I needed to be an advocate. I needed to be willing to just out there in front of everybody, show my weaknesses and my warts, and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to turn this thing around. I'm going to make the best of where I am. I'm going to hopefully show the best of Nancy in the day that I'm speaking, or that I'm writing something, or that I'm living life. So that's really how it started, and I began to feel, Chuck, I began to feel so much better when I knew I was helping someone. How about you? Doesn't that really turn on the juices and make you just want to go out there and advocate for people that don't understand what the diagnosis is?
I had my aha moment was amazing. I worked with DAA and went back to Philadelphia around that area and talked at a continuing care community. And we had done 2 that day, so we did the one in the morning and the one in the afternoon. And when it was all over, the people were coming up and thanking us, thank you and all of this. And this lady came up and she was crying. It was like, well, are you okay? And she goes, oh, yes, yes, yes. These are tears of happiness. She goes, for the first time in 5 years, my husband admitted that he had problems, and it was a good thing he came there to listen to us. And it just, I mean, that's one person, and it just made you feel, that feeling that says, wow, I really helped a family. That feeling is just
pumps
there's
your
nothing
heart.
like it. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, it just pumps your heart. Yeah. Yes, I'm with you.
Now,
Yeah.
Nancy, did you write anything before your diagnosis?
I did I had midlife, I had done a triathlon and I signed up to do a triathlon, and I brought my grandson along with me in the process. It was a way for me to talk to him and not talk at him. So when I was diving into the master's pool and saying I didn't think I could live to get to the other side, you know, we really bonded. It was a wonderful experience. So I wrote about that, but I soon to put it down, and I just didn't do anything with it. So when these words started coming to me, and and chapters were too much, these words are just short and poignant. I found that I could do that, and that seemed to be. I never wrote poetry. I don't know that I'm a poet. I know that I write short verses and poignant words. So, yeah, a little, but not much, to answer your question the long way.
Going back to what did you do in your, I call it our prior life.
Aha. I was a salesperson. I worked for the airlines for 30 years here in Las Vegas. I've been in Las Vegas for 56 years. I came from the Pacific Northwest, so I was really a rain and foggy kind of girl. And I got here to the desert and thought that I would stay a while, but never thought that I would stay all of these years. And now I can't see myself going any other place. But it's been hot out, hasn't it? Wow. Summer is here.
It definitely is.
Yes.
The
Yes.
one thing I excuse me, I enjoy so much when I get to talk with you and we get to talk to people is the different paths that you and I went to basically get to the same place.
Really?
Now, I know when you had yours, it seems like your mentality never really changed. It was just eye-opening. Mine, I was devastated because it wasn't in my family. And I went through that whole thing of, the whole thing, why me? I was afraid, I was scared, all of this. And it took a while for me to come out of that. And I like it because we took such different paths, and it showed that this disease is so different for every single person that there's not a right answer.
Right. It is so different for all of us. No one of us comes to the same place. But here's what I have found in my life. So I was with the airlines for 30 years, and then I went to work for a mortuary here in Las Vegas, and I learned how to sell underground real estate and learn about the mortuary business. And it was an eye opener for me, believe me. And then I went to work for, excuse me, Aflac. And so when I go to those business meetings in the morning, the Aflac was a lot of fun. People were laughing when I was talking about mortuary stuff. It wasn't so funny. So I was glad to get on to the Aflac and do sales. So the last part of my professional life was in sales, and I look kind of at the advocacy for Alzheimer's as rather a sales pitch, if you will. There's hope. We can say hope and Alzheimer's in the same sentence. We need to know that. It is better to turn around and look at your fears than it is to ignore them, because you might not have it. So what if you're sitting back there and you're worried? What if you went? I know someone that did this. When they went and they were really worried, and they found out it wasn't that at all. It was something else. What a wonderful thing to know, right? So early diagnosis is a good thing. I'm an advocate for that.
Oh,
And lifestyle matters.
yes. Oh, it
And you
does.
found that, I'm sure.
It
Me
does.
too.
Everything changed,
Everything.
and I think you get to a point where with everything going wrong, you need to have humor in your life.
You do.
And
do.
I think it is so important that you're able to laugh and joke. And I think that changes the whole perception of your family too. That you can laugh, you can joke. Yeah, I did that, and have a smile on your face. And don't you agree? It kind of takes that tragedy thing and
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's a serious thing, so we don't want to overdo well, this is not that big a deal. We don't want to go down that lane, but what we do want to do is to say to people, and I feel funny saying this, but I do believe that I'm a better person for having been diagnosed. I think I am a more compassionate person. And I think that from that and helping others and knowing that I'm making a difference, I think those things make me a better person. And if it's doing it for me and it's doing it for you, I'm sure it would do it for others. And it gives you a different perspective for stage 2 part of life. Yeah.
One thing too that I know that we do, and I never did this before because I was driven, I wanted to do this, I wanted, success and all of this. And what this does, it takes you and kind of takes away all of those fantasies that you had about where you wanted to be and what you wanted to do, and made you, at least it did for me and most people, to live in the moment.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Today, and not
Yes.
for next week, next month, next year, 5 years. It's today. And you
Yes.
find yourself the same way?
Absolutely. When somebody says, "Do you want to go someplace?" I say yes, and then, then the week that it comes, I said, "What did I say yes to?" But it's like, don't pass me up. I don't got time. So, so the advocacy part of it turned in. When I very first got the diagnosis, I turned to Alzheimer's Association here in Las Vegas, and they held my hand. They were wonderful people, and they helped me and got me involved in the speaking part of it and the walk, which is coming up, by the way. And so that took part of my life and got me involved with other people and out there, and I could see what others were doing. And Cleveland Clinic here in Las Vegas, they have wonderful programs. So we're lucky. We're lucky in that. So all of those things are helping. And then you look at family and friends, and I think we all have friends that don't know what to do with us, and then we have friends that have embraced it. Uh, it does change life. You have to be ready to walk the change.
Very much so. And I
Yeah.
want to go back to one thing that you said before about, us being able to laugh and joke about what we do, but not sugarcoat that whole process of what's happening.
No.
Because I tell people that's not what I'm doing. I'm not
Yeah.
ignoring what's
Right.
happening.
Right.
I know what's happening.
Yeah.
But I choose to live my life anyway. It's not going to
Right.
dictate what I do.
We're merging it into our lives.
Exactly. And we have to. We don't have a choice.
And getting good results, right? And are things going on? Yes. Do people come up to you and say, "There's nothing wrong with you. You're okay"? And I'm not arguing the point. I just say, "Thank you." I appreciate that. Thanks. But there are days when, I just shake my head at Nancy. My goodness. but to get frustrated and all of that, we really do have to look at it as it's not catastrophic. It's something that we're working around.
I don't know whether you've had it before, but with the frustration comes the anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And I was having severe anxiety attacks.
Were you? Yeah.
And, Bobby and I had sat down and said, what the main thing is, I'm not doing this because I want to. I'm not doing this. It's being done to me.
Correct.
And when we took the entity and put it on something else, um, it puts it where it belongs. I'm not doing it. You're not doing it.
Right.
The disease is doing it.
Right.
And I think people need to understand. And I heard a saying of somebody says, yeah, well, they're giving us a hard time. And the correct answer was no, they're not giving you a hard time. They're having a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's true. That is so true.
yes.
That is so true. I say that all the time when people don't respond in a favorable way. I know that it's hard on friends to see people that are little by little by little maybe being showing differences, and for me, I don't recognize people. So when I meet people today, I might not know them tomorrow, and for a salesperson, that's death, right? I mean, you got to recognize people, and that's been my hardest challenge. And so then, quite early on, I was able to say, and it took me a minute, I'm really sorry. I need to ask your name. I don't remember. And um, that's the normal aging thing, right? May or may not be, but it's so anyway. I look at it and I say, okay, I'm really sorry, but I am going to have to ask your name. I know that we've met, but I don't know where, and I don't know your name. So, and it makes it easier when you do that. When you make a mistake in regular business and you say to them, Chuck, I'm really sorry. I made a mistake on this, and forgive me for that. And what can we do to change it? What can they say? They have to say, well, maybe not pleased. We can do this, this, and this, and it'll all be better. So that's how I look at this. I have to say, oops, I'm coming to the party a little late. I was going around and around and around the block, the same block. That's what's really silly.
When people ask me, I said, well, I have memory loss. And I go, well, my memory loss is a little bit different. And I ask them, I said, if you're not working stuff, what is a hobby that you've done your entire life? Maybe they'll say gardening or this or that. I said, what if you forgot how? Something that you've done for years and you forgot how. I said, that is the memory loss that we have. I also wanted to ask you about your new venture.
Yes.
Yes, please talk about that.
We can. I've really got a couple. So I'm going to talk about Gifts of Hope, which is a two-person play. And it is about a caregiver and someone diagnosed, myself, with Alzheimer's. And it is the dance that two people marinate in order to have communication being very paramount and key. And it's in the final stages, so we hope to offer it in the next 2-3 months. And it is talking about things that people need to know between a caregiver and someone diagnosed with Alzheimer's. If you have someone that you're adversarial with, it doesn't work as good. And I'm sure that you notice this. If I know somebody is judging me, I don't do nearly as well as if I know someone has got my back and is beside me. And so it's just kind of a deal. It's lighthearted, two friends via email talking back and forth to one another. And the hope is you'll walk away with the gifts, that the little things that we've found that make life work for us. So that's one venture. And that's with a published author. He has 4 and working on his 5th book, and Stephen a lot. And so he and I came together and said, let's do this. And so we've almost got it completed. So thanks for asking about that. The other thing is um, Dangle, Dangle, and Dot. And Dangle and Dot, a girlfriend and myself, were drawn to one another. We happened to be in dementia world, and we were drawn to one another, and we dare to look at dementia different. We want to help people like us, like ourselves, people that maybe need just a little loving kindness as they figure out this thing called dementia. And we tell stories about ourselves, and we laugh about ourselves and our stories, and you know, we slip and we fall and we miscue, and it's okay. It is okay. We can be kind to one another and do that. And so the website on that is in process, and it is called dangledot.com. So take a look. It's in progress. It's not done. I probably gave it away too soon. That's all right. You know, we're not guaranteed tomorrow, so look today.
That's it.
Yes.
And how did you come up with the idea of earrings?
I-
And tell it that is a really cute story.
Well, one day I met Kat, who is Dot, and I'm Dangle, and we met, and I said, I got this idea. I said, you know, I've lost so many earrings. I got a lot of earrings of just one kind. And so I'm putting a dangle over here and I'm putting a dot over here. What do you think about that? Never thinking that in a couple of months after that, you know, we said, why don't we call us Dangle and Dot? Because sometimes I'm dangling and she's the caregiver and the stalwart one, and stoic, and you know, got it all together all the time, and I'm over here sort of piecing it together, and we've laughed our way through it, and we are so excited about it. It is a new way to look. We're hoping that we can help people that are at a certain stage of the diagnosis, but you know, and you've lost some of your self-confidence, and you think, oh gosh, I can't do anything anymore. And our future hope, not in the too long distance, is that we will have work, and so that people will get a paycheck, and that paycheck will give them back some of their self-confidence, and we all do better when we feel better. So dangledot.com.
That is awesome.
Or go
I
on
can't believe
YouTube.
it.
Dangle and Dot on YouTube. Yes.
All right. I can't believe we're coming up on the time, but I
Are
always
we
ask
already?
this,
Oh my
and I
gosh.
asked you before, if this was the first podcast somebody was seeing, you know, either a care partner or somebody just diagnosed, what information would you give them?
I think what I would say is that lifestyle matters. What is to happen to me is up to me. And while we have learned through time that we've gotten used to turning our health over to someone else, don't do it. If you have concerns and you really don't know, but you feel like, you know, you might have a problem, and the statistics are so high. I think in Nevada now it's 45,000 people that have been diagnosed. So, you know, and it's going to grow exponentially from this point forward. And so um, don't ignore it. Don't let fear stand in your way. Turn around and face that fear. I'm here to say you won't find it as fearful as you think. And if you do, then communication is key, and education is a must. And all those things with the Alzheimer's Association, Cleveland Clinic, other organizations here in time, dementia. We have dementia conversations that we have every Friday, every Monday, every Friday. Chuck and Jennifer, dementia conversations, Nancy and Kat on Friday. There's so many things here that you can look at. That's what I'd say. I'd say don't put your head in the sand and think it'll go away. Find out, because you might hear that you don't have it. And if you hear that you do, know that we're here. We're here to help you and make it easier for you. And you will feel better. You will feel better knowing. Do you agree with that?
I agree 100%. And I think that, well, I forget what the new number is. What are 6 or 7 million people now in the United States have dementia?
Yes.
I think you could almost double that with the amount of people that never get diagnosed.
You know, jump in. The water's fine. I'm good. Chuck's good. You know, do we have our ouches? And we do. We do. But we're okay. You don't have to feel sorry for us.
Not at all. Nancy, I want to thank you so much for coming on and taking the time and talking with me. And I think people need to know that, people like you are the face of dementia, not an 80-year-old person over there. We are the face of dementia, and we always will be. I'd like to thank Dementia Action Alliance for their support. On behalf of This Dementia Life, I would thank you for joining us today. You can view other podcasts on our website, danow.org. Click on podcasts. Please join again to meet the most inspiring and amazing people on This Dementia Life. I'm your host, Chuck McClatchey. Remember, the brain may forget, but the heart never will. I'll see you next time on This Dementia Life.